Yeah, it seems like we have a very elite group here, so yeah. We have like 18 RSVPs on Meetup and WeChat. Oh, not WeChat. Meetup and Eventbrite. So it's okay. I guess my name is Brian, and this is our 49th event of Start Chinese, which is a non-for-profit community. Started in August 2017. Our target is to inspire, empower, and connect entrepreneur minds and beyond, not only among Chinese but also other non-Chinese speakers. And I just want to say that today's topic seems like not too much people, but I guess it's really important. Maybe one of the most important topics in terms of all of our past events, because here in a different business environment comparing to China, there is a lot of different scenarios and different contexts to consider about when you do some communication, which is, I guess, many Chinese people just don't have too much idea about. So I think it's critically important that we can understand the whole scenario so that we can get a better development here in this society. So I'm pretty honored to have Catherine here to be our speaker today. So I guess I will let Catherine to begin one more speech.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm glad everyone was able to make it out. We are going to look at 3 parts of what people typically do when they're thinking about networking. And throughout, I'm going to work on the theme of 333. If we could double it, that would be great. If we could triple it, even better. So my goal is to triple your networking impact. And I want to know who in the room is already an excellent networker. Is anybody an excellent?
How do you define excellent?
Very good. He's saying he is an excellent networker. You are comfortable with networking, and when you network, you see some return on your networking. You have people connecting to you, replying to you, referring you to someone else. I would consider that to be an excellent networker. We've got a star in the room. Excellent. Good. Anybody else? Who thinks they are an okay networker? Who thinks you're an okay networker? Not a good networker. I hate networking. This is not my thing. Okay.
Couple of you improve. Yeah, not bad.
Not bad, but would like to
want to improve. Yeah.
Perfect. You're in the right room, right? I hope that everybody will get something out of it. If not some new idea, maybe it will reinforce the idea that what you thought might be working is actually working. Keep doing it, right? Which is also maybe a great way to think about this. All right, so let's begin.
I really like that picture.
You like the picture?
Yeah.
Thank you. We're going to talk about that picture. All right, so the idea is to set the stage. What can you do before you even go that makes this work, that makes this a positive? Yes, so please feel free to take pictures. The third part, I'll let you know when that happens. I have a link where you can get those slides. They're more detailed and they're very important. So I've given you slides for those. This part, go ahead and take pictures. It makes me happy to think that people liked it and wanted to take a picture. So set the stage before you even get there. We're going to look at things that could hurt your networking, right? Relationship killers that you may not be aware of, that may be completely different in your culture. It would be the right thing to do in your first culture. And then you get to Canada or the States and you think, whoa, I don't see anybody doing that. Maybe I better not do that myself. But you never know when you walk into a room. Are they not doing it because they're shy and they're not good networkers? Or is it because that is just not acceptable in this culture? Right? And culture changes city to city, right? I'm from Vancouver, so West Coast, East Coast may be quite different. Yeah. All right. The next one is strategies, as I mentioned, to send you home with 3 times the impact, 3 times the referrals, 3 times the confidence, whatever it's going to be for you, that's a win. That's what we're hoping for. And we want people to be able to promote us, to know who we are, what we do, what we would like, and then to share that with others. So that would be a big win. All right. I said, Dad, stop the car, stop the car. I need this picture. Please take this picture. And you did. Can you imagine why I would want this particular picture?
Have some topics with
So-
center.
So-
Okay. The topics with the center behind them.
Bear market.
The
The
bear
stock.
market, so like a business bear and bull market.
Yeah.
Good. Anything else? And remember, I'm a pronunciation coach, so the sound of words are important to me.
Oh. Bear beer? No.
Oh, you are on my wavelength. This one is actually because of this sound. What
Oh.
sound is that?
Ah.
Ah, okay. And most languages don't have ah. So when you say you're awesome, that was awesome, or oh my God, what a great opportunity. Opportunity, that sound isn't available. So in fact, for oh my God, people are saying oh my God and oh my goat instead, right? It's not quite the same sound. So I wanted a picture of that ah, and then you are so right, because bear,
Oh.
beard, beer, and I need one more picture. I need a picture of a bird, because beard and bird cause people trouble. And that's where I live, right? I embarrassingly call people's hair chevaux in French. Chevaux is horses. These are cheveux. I get it mixed up. Or I say those beautiful hairs in the field, thinking about the horses. And in Japanese, there are some bad ones too. So, has anybody ever made a pronunciation mistake? Yeah, right? And sometimes we even do it in our first language. Just our tongues get tied and it ends up being the wrong word altogether. So that's a lot of what my clients are looking at in terms of their day. Because not only are they at an event like this thinking about networking, they're also thinking about being really clear in their speech. So we're going to look at that at the end. This is me and my little brother. I'm about 3 years old, 2 or 3. And at this point, I have a very big vocabulary. I learned to read very young. I think it was 2 or 3, and I was reading. And I'm what's called a chatty Cathy. My name's Catherine. So chatty Cathy has a meaning in English. A person who never shuts up, right? Lots of words coming out of this person. There's a doll called Chatty Cathy. It was similar to the one that's standing. And so for Christmas, I was given a Chatty Cathy doll. Her eyes were blue, she had blonde hair, and she's a tall doll. So perfect for a little girl like me. Anyway, my second favorite thing, so this was my first favorite thing. My second favorite thing was this one. This is not mine, but it's very similar. It's a much bigger tricycle than most children would get, but I'm tall, so I needed a big girl bicycle. And my mom and dad found a second-hand big girl tricycle, and I loved it. I would just zip along, the wind in my hair, you know, that freedom of going extra fast. However, one day, and you know that there's going to be a one-day story, right? I came down, I remember it was sunny, kind of like this. I think it was sort of a wintry day. We were in Prince George in DC. I came down the porch stairs to the bike. I tripped, I don't know what happened, but I slit my tongue down the middle on the sharp edge of this foot plate where you push. That has a sharp edge, and I slit my tongue. So, not so good. This is my adult tongue. I suggested to the doctor that maybe we could use a Band-Aid, but that wasn't going to work. So he gave me stitches. So now I've got a really sore tongue. And from being a chatty Cathy, I'm now a little girl who doesn't like to close her mouth. I don't want my tongue to touch anything. It hurts me, right? So when you look at me, you think, she was born in Canada, she's English first language, she doesn't have any problems making sounds. Like, how is she going to understand that I have trouble with L and R or TH or B and whatever, you know, a new immigrant coming is thinking, oh, these sounds are difficult. How is she going to know? Well, I do know because I had to learn to speak again. And I was in pain while I was doing it, so that sort of embeds it into the brain. And so when people say, where do you put your tongue? If you say that to a Canadian or an American, they have no idea. But I know, because I had to build it again. So that is actually part of my credibility. Another part of my credibility is that at the age of 12, I am now a fairly famous public speaker. I was winning competitions in my province, and I was given a silver watch and a big silver plate and lots of trophies. I was given trips, and the best one, this is still the most amazing thing, was winning everything. I was the top senior judge, and it meant you got a trip to the PNE. You guys have the CNE, so it's an amusement park plus a demonstration of cows, chickens, pigs, and all of those things. But for 2 weeks, for free, I could live there, eat there, and go on all the rides with about 100 other 12 or 13-year-olds, right? And so we got picked up in a bus that started at the top of British Columbia, drove down, picked up all these kids. By the time we got to Vancouver, we were best friends. Amazing, right? That's amazing. I don't care about trophies. I don't care about silver watches. It was that 2 weeks at the PNE. Wonderful time. So here I am now as a teenager, almost a teenager, and I'm an accomplished public speaker. So there's me. There I am. My degree from SFU is languages, literature, and linguistics. So where most people start a degree and then go, what? into a different field, I sort of stayed in the same field. And it meant that when I went to Japan, that sort of made sense. So I'm going to Japan based as an English instructor, but I need to network and I need to try to find a job in Japanese if I can, if I want to improve my Japanese. Can you read this?
No, can we tell us that?
Me too, right? So what does it look like? What is it?
The address.
The address, yeah. And this whole
It's a
thing,
card.
it's my business card.
Oh.
It says, Kiyasarin Sutiru. I'm Catherine Steele, so that's the way it would be represented in katakana in Japanese. And yeah, so the difficulty for me was I would receive a business card. I wouldn't be able to read anything on the business card. And I'm not allowed to write on the business card. It's considered rude to write notes on the business card as you're meeting the person. So I have business cards that I don't know who it is. I can't remember. And now, in my 50s, I definitely do not have the memory to hold until I can get to a quiet place and write it down, right? So it's a strategy that would be possible here was not possible there. So we're going to look at strategies. This is the reason that I have a business. I was an instructor with various educational institutions in Vancouver, and I taught in Mexico, I taught in Quebec, I taught in Japan, obviously. So why a business, right? It's risky to start a business. This is Startup for Chinese, and so why? I saw this article, it's 2014, being ignored in the workplace is more damaging than being bullied. And I felt that was so true. Originally, I'd been working with Canada Immigration Settlement, putting people into English classes. And I'd gone away. I was away probably for a span of 5 or more years. When I came back, I realized the same people that had been my clients were still working 2 jobs, 7-Eleven and cleaning the hospital kind of jobs. Their teenagers were at risk for gang involvement, and it was a mess. And Vancouver was going to go down, right, because of this mess. So I thought, how am I going to do this? I decided I would take adult professionals and help them get into their career in Canada and help them move up in their career so that there would be 1 job that would support the family, or 2. It's realistic to think 2, but that the kids would have more time with their parents. It would be better. So that meant that in 2014, English Pronunciation for Success was born, and that's me. That's my company. Setting the stage. I don't go to a networking event without setting it up a little bit. And I encourage you to do that. So You mentioned that it was on Eventbrite. If it's on Facebook or Meetup, and this is a Meetup, Startup for Change is a Meetup, then you have a resource that others may not have. You can see who has already signed up to be at that Meetup. And you can, if you get the right name, sometimes people don't put their full name, you could do a little Googling, check out LinkedIn, and see if you could see what profession they were in. That's a huge advantage. So before you go, you grab your business card, and oh, who here has a business card? Yes? No? No?
My
No.
face is my business card.
Okay, because there's going to be a strategy with business cards that is not available to you if you don't have a business card. So I'm going to encourage you, even if you don't have your own business, because you think, I don't have a business, I don't need a business card. If you need to network, it's a tool. And we're going to look at what to put on it, things like that. Okay, so setting the stage. These business cards are in my pocket already. They have names of maybe 3 of the people that I expect to meet. And a little note. And the little note says, ask me about a podcast that might be of value to you in your industry that I've come across, an article, an event that I'm hosting that's free that your clients might like to hear about. Something, some way to connect with them. And then, the beautiful thing, who is shy to go to networking events? No, a few people, right? It's not the top choice. If you have other choices, especially on a Friday night, there are a million other things that people might want to do. So you've chosen to go to this networking event. You want it to be successful. So think, okay, I'm going to walk in there, and all these people, I don't know them, I'm nervous to present myself, but now I have 3 people to find. It changes the picture. Hi, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. Is your name Joanne?
Oh, my name is
Selena? Selena?
Great.
Oh, awesome. You know, I am looking for Joanne, and tonight I have something that I'd like to tell her. So if you ever meet someone named Joanne, give me a little wave and signal. And then, so tell me about you. And I start talking to Selena. And Selena now has something that will make her networking event easier and more successful. She can start looking for Joanne. And she's like, I met this woman named Catherine. She's looking for someone named Joanne. Do you know? And so she doesn't have to say, hey, I do this, and I am this, and I'm wonderful, and you should hire me. She can say, I'm looking for Joanne because there's a lady over there that's looking for her. And then you get further, deeper into the conversation. But it doesn't need to be the first thing you say. That's what's your business and why are you here? People are not always comfortable to do that, right? So then, when somebody finds that person and they bring them over to meet me, they are a hero. I'm going to remember them forever as this wonderful person. So we've already started that know, like, and trust, right? It's already happening. And then maybe because I took the time to write people's names, I look like a big deal. Like, I know something about this meetup that she didn't know. So I sort of give myself a little bit of status as a good networker, or maybe somehow connected to the organizer, which is a great thing. And I'm going to mention that helping that organizer and maybe asking that organizer one question when they're not so busy will help you. They know everybody. They've got the list. So the question might be, if I only met one person tonight, in your opinion, who should I try to meet? So even if you didn't have a chance to put these, they'll say, okay, there's a guy named Jordan. He would be a really good connection for you. Awesome, thanks so much. Let me help you with the chairs. And then I try to find Jordan. Right? Make sense? Okay, so the business card. A lot of people, younger generation, and certain cultures think it would be so much better if we could just do it electronically. However, in Canada and the States, it is seen as less professional not to be prepared with a business card. You have nothing to exchange with me. And I do not want someone to just take a picture of my card. No. It is, for some reason, that is not seen as organized Professional is like, you didn't even bother to spend a little bit of money on business cards. Really? You are not a big player, obviously. And it may not be true, right? The person thinking, I'm thinking environmentally friendly here, I don't want paper that nobody's going to look at. But it doesn't give a good impression. So I want you to really think about that. So then, you were mentioning my picture. Mostly it will be realtors who put their picture on their card. However, I have found that it has been the best thing, especially with Facebook and LinkedIn. They look at the card, they look at the LinkedIn. Yes, I know that that is the right person. And you wouldn't believe, we do different things. I don't have glasses on in this picture, right? I already don't look like my picture. I should have another one with the glasses, so people are really sure. We have different hairstyles. We don't smile. Some cultures don't. We do. We usually smile. And so it's that them who were smiling at me. I'm not sure, it doesn't look like the same friendly person that I knew, right? So it needs to be professional, but in Canada and the States it needs to be smiling because you're meeting and smiling. And so I need a little trigger that, yeah, that's the right person. I also was encouraged to put something on the back, and mine is sign up here. That was really helpful. Somebody mentioned this early on in my business card. So number one, have business cards, even if you don't have a business. So what are you going to put on your card?
Name, phone number, title.
Job title.
Title, okay. And people sometimes say, I was speaking to the University of Manitoba earlier this week, they're not working yet. So you put the field you're in and maybe 3 positions that would be of really good interest to you or a really good connection for you. You can put whatever you like on your card. I would love to meet people who know about these fields, or I'm open to working in these fields, whatever. That's for you. And the person now goes, okay, I just met this person. I'm still networking. I've got an hour to go. And I'm going to keep my ears open for anybody connected to these 3 fields. Because that's why I'm here. I'm here to network. I'm here to help people find each other. And there could be 2 people in the room who should definitely meet and will never meet just because, you meet maybe 6 or 8 people, but you don't meet 20 to 30 to 40 to 100 people. So that other person will try to help you match up. So I encourage you to practice. You're going to see another reason to have a business card in a bit. So that's setting the stage. Business cards. And we're now talking about fashion. Because women's fashion, my good, no. Like, these have pockets. That's very unusual, the pants that have pockets. Men, they've got the inside, outside, they've got pockets all over the place. Much easier to network. Ladies end up carrying a big purse, which is awkward. So what I've done is, this has the clip on it broke, so now I'm using just a paper clip, but you get the idea that to clip it on to your jacket or your blouse is a way to have a name tag that A, is visible, B, doesn't damage your clothes. So I've given you all a sticky name tag. I stick my name tag on here and it hangs. I don't undo the bottom. I don't want it to stick to my silk blouse or my beautiful jacket. So I peel down the top 1/4 of an inch and I leave the rest of the backing on, and then I stick it to this plastic pocket. It saved my clothes many a time. And I can collect people's business cards in here. At the end of the night, I have the name tag from the event. So this is Startup for Chinese. So maybe there's Startup for Chinese on the top. And then I put that in with all the business cards. If I can't find it, and I can't remember the date, and I can't remember, it's like, whose cards are those? I have the event with the cards, right? So it's a strategy. And I am putting it here. Most people put their name tag over here because we're mainly right-handed. It's easier to do it. Why did I put it on this side?
So when you shake hands with other people.
Yes,
You can
right.
see it, right?
This, like
There we
Catherine
go.
Steele is like
Yeah.
right up and right. It's so much easier because we're terrified to not catch the name and not be able to remember the name. And so it's like, oh, thank you. I can see it, right? Yeah. And that's one of the networking killers and confidence killers too, is people's names. And as you know, we have so many people here from different places with very different names that we're not familiar with. So you are being a helpful, kind networker by offering another chance to see the name. And because it's my business card, when they connect on LinkedIn, it's reinforcing. And people have come up to me in events and like, do we know each other? And we realize that we probably don't. But the feed, the LinkedIn feed that suggests people that you may know, we've seen each other's faces so many times. So it's nice because all of a sudden you look like someone that the person already knows. Okay. This is why people don't like to know, I think, that public speaking is like the fear of flying or jumping out of an airplane or bungee jumping or the dentist. It's an intense fear, and it's because somebody's going to look at you. So when I dressed very carefully, thinking, how can I leave a vulnerable stomach? Because for some reason, if a person looks like you could easily kill them, they're more comfortable to talk to, right? If I look like I'm defensive, then it's harder to talk to me. So the type of jacket that men wear, there's a black jacket and white shirt quite often, or a light blue shirt, that gives the impression of, I'm open, let's have a conversation, completely open. I'm easy to talk to, I'm friendly, I'm safe, right? So think about that in your dressing. And if you can, pick something with pockets, it's always a good thing. We're going to look at that a little bit more, but be ready for the person to need to look at you and judge you for a moment, and not worry about it, because you can be good, you've got your nice jacket on.
So what should you try to avoid to wear?
Avoid wearing, I think maybe anything that looks like don't come near me, so any X's would probably not be a good idea. I don't think there's much that would be really wrong. I mean, of course, silver studs in certain situations, that might be good at the club, but not if you're meeting people. What you're going to look for is to match what other people are doing. And so that's why almost always you'll get business casual, business formal, or semi-formal, or black tie. People have realized that people needed a hint to what would be better to wear. They don't want to be embarrassed by being overdressed or underdressed. And so quite often that's the idea of a jacket. If it's not an event where this was so appropriate, everybody's much more casual, I can take it off. Right? But if you haven't got it, you haven't got one to take off. And sometimes men, they've got their tie in their car, and they realize, oh my God, we need a tie. Open the glove compartment, there's the emergency tie, right? And ladies, it's always the shoes, right? So you saw me take shoes out of my suitcase, that I needed to step it up a little bit. Winter boots, hiking boots were not going to work. So what you're trying to do is make it easy and comfortable, and you're trying to be helpful. I mentioned moving the chairs for the organizer. I'm going to mention gum. Quite often a networking event is around dinner time or just after, and people stay at work, run to the networking event, they grab something on the way, or the event has a few snacks. It's usually garlic chicken on the skewer, right? I don't know. It's not well planned. So if you are going to have some gum for yourself, offer gum to the other person. If the other person says no and really should take the gum, it would be a benefit. Stay there and say, you know what, we've all just had dinner. I think it might be a good idea. We get them. And then, oh my God, I didn't realize. And they will be so happy that you said something. It's a very uncomfortable thing to do. But you stepped out of your comfort zone, right? I'm already trying to present that I'm safe and ready to be uncomfortable. And now you're being helpful and uncomfortable. So they look good, right? The same thing as if you notice a guy is not zipped coming out of the bathroom, you walk, this is the strategy. The guy's coming this way, I'm going that way. Zip your zipper, zip, zip, zip your zipper. It's so funny because guys, but they will think that you're wonderful. And you want that. You want them to think that you had their back, you were creating a good atmosphere. Okay, so let's see what else. I'm going to mention again that the organizer will love you forever when they see that you're making this a fun event. You know, they call for a question and nobody puts their hand up and they're like, oh yeah, man. And they actually sort of get people going by giving some answers. It's like the first person on the dance floor, right? We're waiting and we're waiting. Are we going to dance tonight? 10, 10:30, 11. And finally, somebody gets there. I want to have you think about a Mexican person arriving at a party. Okay, I had the good fortune of living in Mexico. We were mostly Canadians, a couple of Americans, and a New Zealander. We are not that animated. We are not party people. There can be party people, but as a culture, we're pretty mellow and quiet. Right? We're not the first one on the floor. As soon as one Mexican person got to our parties, that party started, right? And it wasn't because they were Mexican and outgoing. It's not their own personality. It was their culture's personality. That the polite way to arrive at the party was ready to go, ready for it to be fun. So that's what you're going to think about for the networking event. You're going to be ready that this is going to be an excellent event. As soon as I get there, it's going to be good. As soon as you have that feeling in you, then everybody else gets that feeling and starts responding, and then it is an excellent networking. Right? So you think, I'm shy, there are 30 other shy people. Oh no. But if you think, I'm ready to go, I'm going to animate this because the organizer will really appreciate it, and so will everybody else. I'm going to smile, I'm going to respond, right? So you're going with that attitude. Tequila, chips, maybe a CD or an MP3 player. That's all the person had. No different than anybody else. But they were ready. Okay, where are we going? Where's the music? Right? Let's go. So these are my jewel boxes. The one on the left is a native carving from BC. In it you see a rose, a paper rose that a friend of mine in Mexico made for me in like a minute. It was so romantic, and I still have it, so you know it's very important. This one is silk from Thailand, and this one is jewelry from a Halloween party where 5 of us were all dressed as Miss Universe, Miss Canada, but we were misbehaving and misunderstanding and some cute negative terms. And it was so fun to be part of a group. I had never done that before. Right? It gives you some ideas about me. It gives you an idea that A, I live on the West Coast. B, I've been to Mexico and there must have been a romance at some point. Which might make you think, oh, she's heterosexual. Which nowadays is getting to be more and more important. We're looking at diversity of thought, diversity of culture, diversity of sexual orientation. So that might be a subtle way for me to say I'm straight. Right? And it can be helpful sometimes to know. Usually we don't care. It's not that big a deal. But every now and again, you might hurt somebody's feelings if you call them he or she. And if there's a subtle way of explaining I prefer they, them, then this might be one way, right? Okay. Or stick it on your name tag, which is what I noticed in Seattle when I went to a Women in Tech event. It was on the name tag. This means I travel. I have a traveling background. World travel. And that one means I'm kind of theatrical somehow, right? Yes?
Are you suggesting that it's okay to call lesbian he? Like,
No.
No?
The person will ask to be called a certain pronoun.
oh, okay.
And more, Vancouver is very slow to adopt this, but it's coming in the tech field. And I know in Seattle they're doing a lot of, the person will say, I refer to myself as a man, I'm masculine, and so he, him, his are my pronouns. And if someone considers that they are feminine, where we might look at them and not think that they are feminine, then they are going to say she, her, hers. It's becoming more popular to do that. And on the name tag, you can put what you would prefer. So
It's so complicated.
it's complicated, right? It's complicated.
So
And-
they
but
will
they're-
put on me.
but it's hard. So I think, we have the they. Tell them. That works very nicely in English. Some cultures don't have a they, right? You are they, you are they, and you are they. It doesn't make. I met someone and they said, and I don't know if it's a matter of.
Even if it's acceptable, call them gentlemen or ladies, just say, lady, gentlemen, so.
Yeah.
Spanish speaking parents, and then they can tell you, I'm gentleman, or just
No, and it's more subtle than that, unfortunately. But they might have it on their name tag that they prefer one or the other. If they have nothing on their name tag, then what you see is what you get, basically. I think the LGBTQ plus community is trying to help encourage people to be as much who they are as they can, and that's one way of doing that, and to have society understand that it hurts somebody not to be called the right pronoun. And people will be accepting. If you don't know, you don't know. But it's starting to come, so that's an idea. But what I want from these jewel boxes is for you to think that you don't know what the person has. And at the networking event, you have no idea. You don't know who they know, and you don't know who they are until you ask the right kinds of questions. So, this is my passport. It's to indicate travel. That's business cards. It's to indicate my connections. And as I mentioned, the organizer will have a ton of connections that you would like to know about. And that's money, that's checks. So who would be able to finance you? Who would like to finance a startup if they found a good one? Or who is really good at pitching to the bank? Who's got, a nice sort of script and a way to get their point across that gets them the funding, right? So that's what you're looking for, maybe when you get there. We're going to open that jewel box. So how do you open the jewel box? Is it more of a who, what, when, where, why, how kind of question? Or more of a do you, are you, can you, have you, will you, could you kind of question? Here's the grammar guru coming up. Which question?
I prefer the latest.
This one, do you, have you, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. And so if I say, have you ever been to Vancouver? What's the answer? You have two choices.
I know.
And what are the two
I changed my
choices?
mind. I picked the first one. I'm more like open-ended.
Yes, these are the who, what, when, where, why, how. They're maybe more complicated in some ways, but they get you broader answers. And you want the most possible big answer that you could get, because then from that answer, you can think of new good questions. If you just get, have you been to Vancouver? Yes. Oh, no, I have to think of another question. Okay, so don't go for those questions. More open. But you have to be strategic, and this is where you can set up your networking success before you go. I know what I want to say. I want to say that I'm a pronunciation trainer. The Canadian government will fund me. I receive a grant, or you receive a grant, to take a course with me. I want to say maybe that I usually work with people one-on-one, but occasionally have a group. These things will be important for me to say. I don't work with beginners. I only work with adults who are first language speakers or very high and working because I'm expensive. Right? Those are some of the things that might make sense. So what's the question that you ask the person so that they ask you about your business? So if I ask you a question about your business, what's my question? Well, I'm probably not going to say what's your business because I don't know him yet. I'm going to say what?
Do you do for
What
work?
do you do? What kind of job do you have? What kind of industry are you in? Exactly. It's a what. Quite often it's a what. If I picked a good one, then I will say, what do you do? And he will answer me, and I'll be thinking of, oh, neat, who can I connect him to? And what's my next question? And he will very politely say,
What do you do?
what do you do? Oh, I'm so happy you asked me that. I'm a pronunciation coach, right? So I want to be the first person asking the question, because then I can get the person to ask me the ones I want to be asked, right? So if you want to have, I want them to know that I have 35 years of experience. I'm not a newbie, right? This is not a new thing. So how do I get 35 years of experience?
How many years have you been in the industry?
Exactly. And as soon as I ask you or you that, then you're politely going to turn around and how about yourself? How long have you been a pronunciation trainer? Well, my business is 5 years old, but I've got a 35-year career doing basically the same thing for organizations, including the Canadian government, University of British Columbia, things like that, right? And it opens it up, and it's helpful to the other person because they want to be able to say, how long have you been doing it? That's their key answer too for the night. So they're excited to meet you because you ask the right questions so they can show how wonderful they are. And another great question might be, is there anything that I haven't asked you tonight that you were really hoping to let me know about? How can I help you, right? And then they go, you know what? Because it will be maybe sort of off the side, not a common question, to get that interesting information. Like, I have a meetup and I'm having an event on the weekend. Nobody's going to think about asking you something like that. It's the what do you do? Well, the what do you do is, I'm a trainer. And then the event is, it's another of a similar what. So to be able to say that, if you said, what else should I know about you that I don't know? Then you said, well, oh, I'm glad you asked that. I'm part of a new book. You might want to, it's on for entrepreneurs, this is true. And I forgot about it. And I give events. You might want to come to one of my meetups. Yeah, so think about asking that as, what haven't I asked you that would be a good question to ask? They do that sometimes at interviews as well, when they realize the person has all this knowledge and skills and things that they don't even know how to ask. And they might say, what should we have asked you? What's something else that you would like to tell us about you that we should know about you? So, and then you need to be prepared to have short answers for these things that go straight to it. I've got a book. I have a calendar. I have a whatever. And not go on and on and on. There you go. You're digging for gold. I think of English as a world currency, like gold. You can use it all over the place now. Networking is another thing that is like gold. When you're a good networker, you get a lot more opportunity that other people might not get. And this is part of my branding. English in your pocket to equal gold in your pocket. So, I'd like to be sure I've got it. Ooh, yes. The business card. I mentioned that having notes on it that say, ask me about something. Don't tell them the answer. You're trying to meet them. That's touch point 1. If we need 7 touch points, then we need to be able to build those touch points. So, touch point 1, meet you at the networking event. Touch point 2 would be, ask me about such and such. I have a connection that you might want to make. So, they're going to call me or email me, and then try to think of a third one, because it's hard to get to 7, but we can maybe get to 3. And after a while, people don't continue to follow up because they just don't know what to say. So in your back pocket, you're going to think, is there a podcast that I could send to a lot of people that would be valuable to a lot of people? And that can be either on the card or third touch point.
Sir, can you say the third touch point again?
So maybe a podcast. Maybe there was just this great podcast that you thought all entrepreneurs would enjoy, independent industry, or something so emotionally uplifting. That might be a good one.
And
That's
put
like-
the link on it.
No, no. They're going to ask you, ask
Oh.
me about that great podcast.
Oh,
If they don't, that's fine. It's not going to go anywhere probably anyway. But if they do, that encourages them to call you or email you. And then when they call you or email you, say, you know what, if you like that, you might also like this book that I found at the library. It's an old one, but it's an excellent one. And you just have a couple of things that might be helpful to them that keeps your picture coming up, keeps your name fresh in their mind. I find that difficult, so I'm trying to strategize that part. Oh, the last part is, the one person everybody should meet is the organizer and get to know well, right, and support well. The other person is the speaker. If you enjoyed the talk, if there was even one, if you didn't enjoy most of it, but there was even one thing, it might be nice to say to that person what you enjoyed, right? And that speaker, depending on what they're doing, may have great connections for you because they're going all over the place, meeting people, connecting, right? If it's Tony Robbins or Richard Branson, the line to see them is out the door unless you're in the very first seat. Your opportunity to speak to them is a little bit small. So, your night bus is going to go. You have to make connections. And you're thinking, oh, what am I going to do? But you're ready because you've got business cards. And so you say, I loved your presentation. I have something that you might really be interested in knowing about. Call me. You've got this line of people say, I just want to give them a business card. And, I back up a little bit. I'm busy having this conversation. We're chatting away, we met, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my God, half an hour, it's not going to work. And, he's leaving. And I'm in the middle of this conversation, not at a good point to stop the conversation. But the speaker's leaving. And when I see that he's leaving, I just want to give him my business card. I will be right back. I want to continue this conversation. You run over, you say, excuse me. Love the presentation, call me. Thank you so much, I'm so sorry, right? And this person believes you because you just gave the business card. You did not spend another half an hour where this person's waiting. Has that ever happened to you? Probably, right? Where it didn't quite go as nicely. So they trust that you're interested in them. You came back. If that person doesn't get back to you, you were never going to meet them anyway, right? But it is a possible opportunity because you had a card and you could just hand it over. Okay, so this is a sort of Cole's notes. Notes there. Get on the list early so your picture shows up at the top of the meetup thing, right? You want to be in the first 6, maybe if you can, for Facebook, maybe even smaller. So people go, oh, he or she is going to be there. I really wanted to meet them, right? You're doing whatever you can to be helpful and be remembered as a nice person, an open person. Put your picture on the card. We talked about that. This was the one. Be fully present, knowing that your card will cover the essentials. If you have to leave the conversation, you can quickly give them the card, and your details are there. And your job at the bottom left, you're pulling out all the good things about them because they were really hoping to get that information out to the group. So you actually help them get that information. You want it to be a good experience for them. And what were the questions to have that happen?
Who? What?
How? When? Why? Why did you choose this event? And who do you know here? And how did you hear about it? Those are all, they don't hurt anybody. And then you dig deeper. Oh, how long have you been doing that? And how many people work at your organizations, right? How long, how much, how many, how often? How often do you have the networking event? They're great questions. And
I have many questions.
Yes.
So this is, this is situations usually before going to connection meetings.
Yeah.
If the situation change, kind of, I leaving my box in the elevator. So,
So it can be a similar thing, right? I've been on the train, I've brought 2 suitcases, and I go, I tried to grab my business card wherever I got it, and I say, it was so nice talking to you. They're standing or sitting beside me. This is me. If you ever meet anybody who needs my help, let me know. And people have gotten back to me from all across Canada and other parts of the world. They were not my client, but they were happy to refer me because they saw the value, and they made a connection with me while we were sitting there. And yeah, the other night I have a big suitcase coming back from Living Arts Center. There was a lady hanging on, and she had a big bag, and I said, "Put your bag on my suitcase, and I'll put my arm around it, it won't fall." She likes me immediately, right? I'm helping. And we're on there for an hour together, chit-chatting a little bit. And so I gave her a card. And she said, "Thanks so much." Took her bag, and away she goes. So I would say any situation, but be prepared to have those points that you want to tell somebody ready. And the card, I just consider it to be so helpful to have a card. All right. Solutions. The idea is you're standing with someone. You're beside them. They are not someone you're trying to get something from. You're trying to make sure they get a lot from the event. Right? That takes away the pressure of being nervous. I'm just here to help everybody else meet the right people tonight. That's it. And then it changes your brain. It makes you happy that you can be helpful. Right? Your brain likes it. Personal space. Is it the same from one culture to another?
Kind.
Is it kind of? And this person saying, absolutely not. So it's not. It's not. And it can cause the major difficulty. But we may not understand that that's the difficulty. And we start to think, it's my level of English ability. It's my knowledge, it's my resume, it's my something, and we've got it wrong. It's not that at all. It's that the person's space is different. So everybody has a golden ribbon. Simple like a golden ribbon. I think I'll use this one in better shape. And this was to create curiosity, as I mentioned. But also, I want you to tell me what this space indicates. For me, from my shoulder to my fingertips, it's 4 feet. 1 meter and a bit more.
safety space.
Yeah. So what kind of safe space? Safe space. I'm going to show you safe space. Safe space between you and who? The people you just met. I agree. It's a safe space between you and the people you just met. Okay, so could you hold this to your chest? To mine. And now. It's about, right? Isn't that weird? It is so weird. It's about, when I was researching this, I was researching, and they're like 4 feet. And then I thought, what's 4 feet? And I thought, oh, it's from here to there. And I thought, oh my God. So let's explain it this way. It's handshake distance, right? When I was in Japan, it wasn't handshakes. What was it in Japan?
Bow?
Bow, you bow, right? So it's usually kiss, bow, or shake hands. So in a room that is multicultural, I will say, do you kiss, bow, or shake hands? And I'll get a few of each, right? We're not kissers. We are not huggers, but some cultures are, right? And they feel quite lonely in Canada because it's pretty removed and 4 feet away, you know? We're shakers. And maybe wavers, right? Only. You don't even get to touch some people. So at a networking event, you are not a waver. Okay, that's number one. You are a shaker. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. The space required to do different things is different. In Japan, I was at the train station, and I was too close to this person to bow comfortably, right? Because a respectful bow is quite a big bow. So I'm Canadian. I went to the right, he's Japanese, he went to the left, and we went ding! It was so funny, but not funny. But, right, so we were trying to avoid the problem of the distance. We were at the train, so we weren't able to respect the distance. Not good. And when it comes to kissing, I constantly mash people in the face because I can't judge that distance. So now I just do this and I allow them to land like a butterfly on me instead of me trying to go to them. It doesn't work. But if we require that distance, I want us to look at the room. When you sit down, you have all the choices of chairs. Why didn't she sit right beside this lady? Doesn't she like this lady? Come on.
Well, to be honestly, I think should I sit here or here? And I think maybe not. I'm not sure. If I sit here and then not sure if she's gonna have comfortable, feeling, yeah.
Exactly,
there.
right? Okay, so I'm going to take this one again. How much space is that?
Yeah.
It's exactly the right space, right? So Canadians do not snuggle up. We do later. We fill in, but we start out leaving a space. So if you know that, then you're going to do it strategically. And the person will turn to you and start to have a conversation. They will not easily have a conversation with the person right beside them, right? It's uncomfortable. And it may be easier to go back, right? If it's hard to talk to this person, then talk to this person. And so you see a lot of people turning around. And now I've got, it's a shorter space, but I've got a barrier. So I feel a little bit more confident about that. Isn't that funny? And the buffet table, people like to have the table between them and the person that they're talking to. Or they put their plate here and they've got enough distance. So when you see someone sort of backing away, please don't think that they don't like you. It's that they're from a place that has more space. So Vancouver will be a smaller space than my hometown of Williams Lake, right? Little towns compared to big towns, little towns need more space, big towns get used to being on the bus, they're not so worried about being so close. You're going to notice, right? If they're moving, just sort of subtly shifting, they won't even know. They won't know, but they will be creating the right amount of space for themselves. So you approach with the 4-foot distance, and then you stay there. And if they come closer and then stop, you have a feeling for their need for space. And people who wear glasses might need more or might need less. So there's always that lady that's right up there. They can't see you, right? So you just have to get comfortable somehow and go, okay, this lady needs to be close. It's really uncomfortable, but she's really nice, right? Or she's too close and she needs more space because her glasses are a problem, right? So just be aware. If you're aware, then you can be calm. Yeah? All right, so do these guys know each other? No, but this is the first thing I can read is they don't know each other. Do they like each other?
Maybe the guy does.
How do you know the guy does?
Body language.
But
Yeah.
his arm
Gesture.
is in her 4 feet, so he's got 3 feet or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But they had a conversation, I don't know, at least a half an hour, that's how long I was there. And they were blabbing away. She's maybe in her 20s, she's from Brazil. He's from Canada, maybe in his 40s. And yet they had a very good conversation, respecting the space. Okay? So you'll see that. In other cultures, he wouldn't be able to talk to a woman at all, or he definitely wouldn't be able to talk to a woman that much younger. But it's okay in Canada, but there is still something respected to do that. What about these guys? Do they know each other?
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, right? They're right up there. So this is where this gets folded. Who is in this distance? Who's this distance?
What?
Who would be this
Couples?
close to me?
Couples?
No?
Acquaintance.
No. friends and family. And these guys are more like this. Who's in this distance? Lovers and personal family, like really close family, right? So this is called intimate space. When you're dancing, social dance that revolves touch, you're in that space, but there's a very specific it, and you will lose your dance partner immediately if they are not respecting that. So there's a lot of trust between dance partners because they're often not related, not lovers, you know, they're not romantically involved. Okay, so maybe she's saying, oh my God, that's terrible. We don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Or, I'm so happy to see you, I haven't seen you for 10 years, or whatever. But they're able to touch, they know each other very well. These guys? Do they know each other?
Maybe the person across the table.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my family.
Oh.
We're having a family. It's my mom and dad's 25th anniversary. And this is
Oh,
me.
big family, I was just thinking, yeah.
This is my extended family, right? This is me.
Yeah.
This is my brother. It's the 80s. And so my aunts and uncles and cousins were all together for my mom and dad's celebration. So what about this guy?
Oh. Yes.
And maybe a visitor, some random person who needed a seat? Does he look like we like him? If he's a family member, do we like him? No, right? It looks terrible. But there's one person taking the picture. So he's okay. There's somebody sitting there, but they've got the camera. Right? Does that feel better?
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise it's showing that he is not liked. So you maintain your 4 feet with people who are not your close friends. Right? That's 4 feet for networking, but it's probably not 4 feet for good friends. Yeah? Okay. So, personal space. The handshake distance and the idea that if you're chasing somebody around the room, they have a problem with the personal space. They're still having the conversation. They still like you. But they're probably not able to listen. They're not comfortable. So they're going, oh my God, this person's too close. Even in their minds, they're not saying that. They're not really conscious of it. That's what's happening. So they don't hear that you're a top developer. They don't hear that you're looking for an opportunity to volunteer. They can't hear you. So be aware. Here we go. You can, yes, I'm going to demonstrate some of this. You can put your hands in your pockets. You can put them behind your back. It happens a lot. Or here. They want to know that there's no octopus. It's not going to be touchy-feely. Once they're confident of that, the person will continue the conversation. And I'm going to get you to stand up, if you will. When you're on the SkyTrain in Vancouver, or what's the train called here in Toronto? Does it have a name?
Subway?
The TTC?
Yeah, the TTC.
Somewhere. Okay. When you're on there, you cannot respect space. It's not going to happen. So the problem with that short space is our pelvises are lined up. Our hips are too close together. So instead of standing face to face, I will turn. It will be a T. He's the top of the T and I'm the body. And then we're not aligned. And so it's much more comfortable for people. It will look weird because maybe I'll look at the ground and go, oh my God, yeah, really? I never realized that. Wow, that's really... So you're thinking the person's not paying attention to you because they should be looking at me. But if I look, I either come across your hips, which is rude, or your bust, for women, which is rude. So this one is a way of being sure I'm going to hit my target. I go from there to there like a golf swing. And I'm tipping away. I'm still trying to get 4 feet. I won't get it. But I'm showing to that person I'm trying to respect your space. And I'm nodding. I'm going, oh my God. The little words that you say when you're listening, they're very important because you're not making the eye contact that you normally would. Thank you. Okay, so does that make sense? And then the expression to give someone your ear, my ear is there, right? He's got my full attention. Okay. So let's go to body language. I think we're going to look at handshakes. So sometimes people are happy to hear that. Let me see if this will work. What does this mean? Oh, it's not coming. Okay, what does that mean?
See you
It means
later.
hi. And it means welcome. And it means money. What do you want the money to do? Come here, right? Okay. What does this mean in Canada?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye or
Go away.
go away. Okay, so body language is not the same. That's my cutest way to explain that body language is not the same. In Japan, I had to learn that this wasn't going to mean come here. It is here. This is come here, right? This is come here in Japan. I ended up doing this. I was like, I could never remember. I got so confused. After 5 years, I was a little better, but it was still more natural for me to call someone like this. Okay, what does this mean?
Oh.
Is that a bad thing?
Flirting.
It's flirting?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, in some places it's very bad to do that. In Canada, what does it mean? This has come here. This has come here quietly.
Oh.
I have a secret. And so sometimes you're like, what? I was trying to say, I have the kids' Christmas presents. Don't say anything. But no! I'm trying to say, right? That's what it means. So, again, it doesn't mean the same thing in every culture. It can be very bad in some cultures. All right, so from the body language, does this person want anyone to sit with them?
Nope.
Not at all. Look at his legs. And his body, it's like, don't even think
It's
about
my
it.
space,
It's
right?
my bench. Right? And so no one will sit with him. They've been told, stay away. Right? What about these guys? Are they open to the idea of someone coming and sitting with them? Yes. Right? The lady has a bag. You can't see it, so there isn't the space here. If they were here, half and half, it would be very clear that they would love someone to come and share the bench and have a conversation. When you get to the networking event, you want to be very clear that someone is welcome to come and sit with you. I have a suitcase. That suitcase travels with me to keep things dry. Vancouver is a very rainy city, so my materials are often paper and I want them dry. So I get to an event and I've got a little suitcase. I'm going to put the suitcase at the end of the row. Do I sit down? No, because I know, especially if it's going to be in the front, right? If I take that spot, then everybody has to go, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. And we're not respecting pelvis, and the pelvis is eye level. They are going to be embarrassed to talk to me. It's going to be uncomfortable to talk to me because I've created such a problem. So you don't want to be that person. So I don't sit down. I wait until people get in. I need the space, but I won't sit in the space. And do I put my bag on the next door chair? No, because I want someone to come and sit beside me that I don't know so that we can have that conversation. So I'm strategic. I'm going to pick probably a space somewhere in the middle on the side if I can, because when you get to pop up and talk about yourself, most of the room will be able to see me. If I'm right at the front, it might be possible. It depends on the room. If I'm right at the back, it might be a good position too. But does everybody have to turn around to see me? I don't want to make it difficult. I want to make it easy. So I'm a little bit strategic about that. I'm going to talk about round tables. I was at an event, it was a dim sum pre-Christmas thing with the Chinese Canadian Association in Vancouver. And so people would buy 10 seats. They would invite guests. So for example, RBC Bank would buy a block of 10 and that's their table. They'd have their name, maybe they're sponsoring the table, which is cool. But when you come up to a round table, all you have are people's backs. And it's very hard to make any kind of a conversation or even be seen. People don't see that you're coming to say hi. So the trick with a round table is you have to get up and leave so that someone has a chance to sit into the round table that's new. And people who are shy at networking events just sit at their table, talk to the people at work, and that's it. And they go away thinking, I didn't really have a very good networking event. I didn't meet anybody. But it was because it was impossible to enter that circle. Right? So it's like one of those puzzles where you can move the squares around. Right? There has to be one open space. So I would encourage you, if you see that that's happening at an event, or people are sort of boxed in, and all they can do is talk to the people right near them, then try to say, you know what? There's some really excellent dessert. I'm going to encourage you guys to go get some. It will help us because then there's no one there at the moment. If you run over there, the next group can come. Whatever your reason is, and you may even just have to say, I'm going to get 3 of you to stand up and come meet the people over at the Bank of Montreal table. They would like to come and meet you, and that'll free up some chairs. And you actually just present it as an idea. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay. And suddenly, right, they're tired, they've had some wine, it's dinner. We don't always think about this, but you know, so you can get something going. Okay. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And we know that we feel more comfortable with people that look like us, act like us, laugh at the same kind of jokes. And they can be from any culture, but suddenly you just sort of, you click, right? You have things in common. So at networking events and every event that you go to where you meet strangers, people have found that if you do similar gestures, it helps. It helps create a connection. I was just at an award ceremony for entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, and they, as you entered, they gave you a glass of champagne. I don't drink alcohol, but I took the champagne. Why? Why did I take that glass?
Other people have the same.
Everybody
Stuff,
has a glass, right? So I look like everybody else. I'm wearing a black jacket. Many of the women there were wearing black jackets that night. I also look like the wait staff. The waiters and waitresses were wearing. It happens, right? You don't know, are you like the presenter, or are you? It's hard to identify who that person is. So I now know you're not wait staff. You are one of the participants at the event. You may be an award winner. And if you don't want anybody to think you are drinking alcohol, if that's completely against your religion and will hurt your credibility, then pick up a water glass and have water in your hand. The problem will be that all night long, people will try to get you some champagne because they think you have been forgotten, and they will feel very bad about that. You don't want them to have a bad impression in their mind, even if it's on your behalf. You don't want them to connect. Oh my God, yeah, that's the lady who didn't get any champagne, right? That's not what you want. You want, oh my God, that's the lady who helps people be clear in their presentations, right? Okay. So folding your arms the same way, moving your hair if the person did it, crossing your foot, leaning, they're very subtle things, but they show that you're confident enough to lean with me, so I'll lean with you and we're both really relaxed. You're thinking like this, and I see that you're really trying to remember a person to connect with me, and I will do this maybe too. And it's not going to be creepy because you're not going to do every single thing, like a mirror art thing, but a few things, right? It will help. Okay. This is called mirroring, and you see my mom and I. My grandma came. My grandma had a camera, so we don't have many pictures when I was little. But I thought when you take a picture, you do that, because mom sat like that, so I sat just like my mom. And then, when I took pictures in Vancouver, it wasn't surprising to me that this couple were walking and stuff just before I took this. His hands were in his pocket. They're both wearing dark blue sweaters. She's from Korea, he's from Canada. They are obviously a couple. Right? See how close they are together? They're within that 2-foot space. They're chest to chest, right? He's touching. These guys, you know they're friends. They look pretty much the same. Look at these ladies. This is my favorite by far. Look at their feet. Look at their hats. They're friends, right? It's screaming friends all over it. So in little subtle things like crossing your leg the same way maybe. It's nothing, but it might encourage that friendship. So one thing that I have on here is that common sense is not common. It's learned in that particular part of the world or that industry. So when you come with a construction background and you do construction in Canada, the dangers are different. So many will be the same, but some will be different, but the standards will be different. So it is a taught response. And I want people to think that if you are the home team, so if you're representing Canada and the Canadian way to do it, which you are, then even things like getting your business card are going to be different. So how do you present a business card in China, for example? I respect your time, and I don't want to impose, but I would really love to learn more about what you're doing. Okay, so quite like the opposite, it's a shift in how that business card is organized, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was curious, what did you do when you collect like so many business cards?
I keep them, and I have them in a binder, in
Yeah.
sleeves. They're like a page, and I go back through them. I remember them by color, probably, or the picture, or some interesting font, or I don't know. I remember them by time and event, and I will meet somebody and, oh, you should meet. And then I flip, because I don't know their name. So if I put it in my phone, I will never see it again. I can put some pretty good notes in the phone. I also have notes on the cards. But for me, it's been better to actually find the physical card. So, yeah.
And do you, I don't know, after event, do you send them like a quick note, just say, hey, I was nice to meet
I have a
you?
hard time doing it. I
Yeah.
now have a virtual assistant that tries to help me do that.
Okay.
Not necessarily my business contacts, but people that come to my trade show, for example. I take a picture of all the, it would be on something like this. This is a memo pad, an old-fashioned one where you can have a copy
Yeah.
of what the person's written. This is so that people can win a prize. I have a prize tonight that you might want to win. And so they put name, email, and phone number, and I'll get back to them. And on my email, I'm not allowed to just email an email, so I will say, it was so nice meeting you. If you would like further information, please sign up at this link to get my newsletter. And once a month, you'll hear about my free webinar and whatever I'm doing, where I'm speaking. And my virtual assistant can send that out as long as she gets I take a picture of them and send them to her. But these ones, these are a more personal approach. So I have a not perfect system of getting back to people that way. And in fact, unless I think they really wanted to hear from me, I don't, because we're all getting so much email. That's why I can't get back to everyone, is I have to get through all the junk and all the other email, which is a side topic, but it's a very valid question. So how do you do that? I think many people do. They reach out to everyone, or they have someone reach out to everyone. Lovely to meet you. This is what I do as a reminder. And if you'd like to connect, I'm open to that. Something like that. If there's something of value where you think that we could work together on something, I'd love to hear about it. But I keep it very relaxed because people don't have a lot of time to follow up themselves, so I don't want to create a burden. Okay. What space is this space? Any idea?
Defensive?
Defensive space and safe space. So it's my way of showing safe space. When you are juggling a rollerblade, a book, and a baby stroller, you're going to have about 12 feet of space around you. And sometimes people don't realize that that's a public space, and they walk right through the middle because their public space will not be as large. And they think, oh, that's just an open area. And it's, no, he's got fire, go away, don't be here. Okay, so be aware of what public space would look like and how close the presenter should be to the audience, that kind of thing. I always try to break the space, right? You see me moving up and shaking hands. I want to connect to you, so I'm going to break that public space that you have probably created by sitting at the back, right? How many times do people find a spot at the back? I don't want them in that space. I can't connect with them heart to heart in that space. It's too far. So what you're going to do is you're going to break the space by going out and meeting everybody. And when we meet, we're not kissers, we're not huggers, we're not bowers, we're handshakers. So this is the other one people are concerned about. What's an appropriate handshake? And people say a firm handshake, but what does that mean, right? So I've got my Vancouver Olympic 2010 gloves. I love them because they've got, well, you can see me in a big room from far away, but they've got something in the middle, and I want you to think it's a heart. And just like you have, if you can read palms, heart, health, number of children, you've got, you know, somebody could read that and know about it. When you're giving your hand, you are giving your heart. I want you to think that. If we're not hugging and we're not kissing, then how do we do it, right? We're showing that kind of interest in the person in our hand. So how we use our hand is very important. Number one, thumb to the sky. I don't want an imbalance. If it's more like this, I'm the powerful one. If it's like this, I'm asking for something. I'm the weaker one. So I want us to see that we are equal in power. In Canada, that's the idea. I'm going to hug you. So I need to give you all of my hand. If I take this much hand, there's a name for this kind of handshake. And this is a very common handshake. People who are from Iran and Iraq will automatically give this kind of handshake. And it will be the polite style, but it is not good in North America. So, do you know the name of this kind of handshake? Where you just get the fingertips? It's called the dead fish handshake. It has a name, and anybody who asks will know, oh, the dead fish, oh God, I hate the dead fish. You have to do that, right? It's seriously bad. You need to go all the way in, and then you hug with your fingers. You do not crush, you're just hugging. And you're probably feeling how much the other person hugs you, and you do an equal amount. If it's an elderly person, their hands are fragile and they may have arthritis, so they might be in pain. So you allow them to squeeze you, and then you judge how much they're squeezing. Don't hurt, right? So most people don't take enough hand. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to show you exactly how much hand you need. Nope. She's refusing me. So the dead fish handshake, and not a complete shake, means you think I'm dirty and you don't like me. It has a meaning. It means like, don't touch me. So you have to go in here. Yeah. And just that. You just hug me. And don't put your thumb here. That's going to hurt me. Yeah. I mean, your finger there. That. So it's all of the hands. Okay? Nope. More. There. Like that. All the way. Like there's no separation whatsoever.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, see? Nope. Nope.
Don't go for the catfish.
That's where you go. You go all the way. And that's a good squeeze. Yep. So, okay, see?
There we go.
It's pretty good. I could go further. There. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah, then I'm like tucked in, like, oh, I like you so much. Which is where you want them to think.
Right.
You're hugging, right? Okay. No. Okay. Here. Right? It's like extreme. It's extreme. So, and people are actually comforted by the idea that it's all the way. Like you don't have to judge where we go. We just go all the way. Right?
I've encountered a couple of times like with certain religion, like right
They
the
say
ladies they're not
I don't shake.
yeah they don't shake.
I'm waiting to get the light, but I don't think it's working. No? Yes, that's a really important point. And I actually met a couple. I had a beautiful conversation with the wife, and then the husband sort of leaned away because the wife had a lower level of English but was having a great conversation. So they didn't want to interrupt, which is so nice. And so we chatted, and then we were going to get off the train. And I went to say goodbye. I went to shake that man's hand. And he said, I'm sorry, I can't shake your hand because in my culture, because I'm married, I can't shake your hand. And I was so hurt. Oh my goodness. And I have a lot of experience with people from different parts of the world. But I was hurt, really hurt. So of course, this is my profession. I think it through. I think, how did I end up with that feeling? What am I feeling? One, why am I feeling? And then I realized if he had said a different word, it would have worked. So he said, in my culture, I can't shake your hands. But he lives in Canada, so we have the same culture. And so he's refusing me in my own culture. Like, this doesn't make sense. It's his culture and my culture.
Yeah.
So if he said, in my religion, I can't shake your hand. Canada respects every religion, right? We're open to others' opinions, dress, many things about religion. And so that would have worked just fine. But I would have needed, I'm sorry, I can't shake your hand in my religion. If I'm married, it's not permitted. It was so great meeting you. I wish I could shake your hand. Had a great conversation and all the best. You have to keep going. You have to compliment the person because you have really hurt them. So we have to build the relationship back up and reassure the person that you did have a great conversation. It was a nice moment. Because at the moment it felt like it wasn't a nice moment. I was wrong. They don't like me.
Or they can do just fist pump, you know.
Okay, so let's talk about fist bumps and elbow bumps. When it's winter and everybody's got colds and you don't want to pass it on, the polite thing is to maybe just do a fist bump, or elderly people in nursing homes do an elbow bump. That's within a certain community. If you meet someone, you are automatically giving a full handshake. And if my hands are dirty, wet, I've got Dorito chips on my fingers, you say, oh my goodness, I've got Dorito chips. No problem. You shake their hand anyway, and then both of you will wash your hands or whatever. But you have to shake hands. Like, it's just such an important thing. Do not refuse that person. And yeah, so that's something that I think, nobody ever explained that to me, but you know that about the culture when it doesn't happen. Right? You start to think, oh my goodness, that really hurt. So there's something really important about that handshake. So, okay. You're going to, yes, so you are the good networker. Bunch of shy people. You're going to walk into that group and you're going to start shaking hands with people. You're going to make it clear that we are shaking hands because from quite a distance away, your hand is out. Right? That person's going, are we bowing, kissing, shaking hands? Oh no, waving. What are we doing? Person that's got the hand up, that problem's taken away, solved, and I can just shake hands. I have to move my glasses for this. There is an eyebrow flick. You flick your eyebrows. You go, this. You don't stay there. You're not going around like this. But you're going to show the person you're really excited to meet them. Like, hi, I'm Catherine. Big smile, like big flick, and then smile. We're not flicking anymore. Wow, hi, so nice to meet you. Don't you feel good that that person saw you, thought you were interesting, indicated what the heck we were going to do? No kissing, no bowing, right? Oh, good handshake, nice one. Yeah, you guys are good, actually. So that's what's going to come up on the next one, is you are a welcoming, networking magnet. Everybody's going to want to come and see you because you look happy and friendly. You're that Mexican at the party. This party has started. I'm smiling, coming over, I'm moving to the group, creating opportunities, and then I'm going to look at this. So this is where you can touch. Extremely important. I'm saying between the shoulder and the elbow, this little distance here is a good place to touch someone. But why would you touch a complete stranger at a networking event?
Build that intimacy?
It's that intimacy, right? I'm getting closer and closer. I've broken our 2-foot barrier. We had 4 feet. Now I'm aiming for 2 feet. And then, oh my God, we're into the intimate, right? And that I feel like friends and family now, right? That's good. I'm going to remember that nicely. So they found that if a server in a restaurant touched the customers, they got 3 times as many tips. So we're back to the 3, right? So instead of $10 in tips at the end of the night, they would have 30. Or instead of $100, they'd have $300. Everybody else is going home with $100 at the end of the night of hard work, and they are going home with 300. Still hard work, more money. And so you say, excuse me, I dropped a fork. Sorry? You dropped a fork? Oh, no problem. I'll be right back. Or, would you like coffee, tea, dessert? How's everybody doing? Cup of coffee? Right, I'll be right. Whipped cream? Whipped cream. Right, and right? I'm just these little touches in a respectful way in a certain area, very limited area, that we're friends. Like you're best friends. You know everything about that waiter or waitress at the end of the night, right? So use it. What you're going to do is a slightly different kind of handshake. So you're going to give the person your hand at the end of the night, especially, or at the end of the conversation with them. You know, it was so great to meet you. I loved what you had to say. And there's the other hand. You got a double hug now. You know what? There is somebody you should meet. Yes, I'm going to connect you. We'll see you next time there's a networking event. Call me. Bye. And it's like you've got double handshake, pat, pat, pat. I'm thinking about you because there's somebody I know you should meet. Warm, like warm. You're going to feel so happy about attending that networking event and go home with some success, right? We talked about the exposed belly, and I think I've covered this. Speech patterns. So now we're entering my area of expertise and an area where I see things go wrong for people. Beautiful English skills, no problem with English. And even if they're a lower level person, people can often accommodate if there's enough language that they can get those questions out there. That's why the questions are important to you. What do you do? Don't make them too complicated. How long? People can catch that kind of question. But we know that it's not exactly the answer that you give that's important. It's how you give the answer that will connect you nicely to the other person, right? You can hurt people's feelings, unfortunately, by the sound of your voice, not the words that you use. That's the danger. So, do you do this? Hi, my name's Catherine Steele, but if you prefer, you can call me Kath, one of my friends and family do back in Vancouver. I'm a pronunciation coach for my own business. Do you do that? Have you ever heard anybody do that?
A couple times.
A couple of times,
Yeah.
right? It's too fast. It's too fast, and it has some very damaging results. People are nervous, and they speak quickly, but they also try to cram every detail into their little 30-second pitch or 1-minute pitch. So at an event, often they say, okay, everybody stand up, give us a quick overview of who you are and what you do and what you're looking for, and you go around the room. Well, the first half of the room gets a full minute. The rest of the room, suddenly, well, these guys took more than 1 minute, probably, right? They get chatting, selling. So these guys now have 30 seconds. They take the whole speech and they squish it into, this is not the whole speech. This is not the whole speech. There's still more coming, right? Way too much. But that's what most people end up doing. So what do you feel like when I say, hi, my name is Catherine Steele, but if you prefer, you can call me Cal? Does it make your stomach go,
Yeah.
make your shoulders go?
Impatient, listening.
Maybe I'm impatient, right? Anything else? You don't care about that person that's listening, right? Maybe, and if the person that's listening has English as a second language, they might think I'm trying to test to see if they're good enough. That might be the feeling, right? What it means in English is that I'm lying. When a person speaks quickly, they're trying to sell something or they're lying. So the radio and the TV, it makes sense that they go fast. It's expensive. Plus you're trying to get them excited. Black Friday, come on everybody, get out there, get those new Doc Marten shoes or whatever, right? They want to get the adrenaline going. You're not thinking anymore. You might pay that price. Get you excited. So we don't want that. We don't want the person to think that we're lying or testing them or don't care about them. So we're going to do it in a slow way. So what about this? Hi, my name is Catherine Steele. Is it better? No, it might even be worse. I don't know. How does it feel?
I goosebump when I hear people do that.
You get goosebumps?
Yeah.
Not in a good way,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Not serious.
Not serious?
Making fun.
Making fun, thank you. Right? This is a way that I can tell you that I think you're an idiot. You are too stupid to understand. Right? And if I say, pick up your dirty socks, what am I showing?
Warm.
It's a warning. I am showing you I am really angry and this is the last chance. I have already tried to show you that I was angry up to this point, and now I'm going to kill you. I don't know what else to do, so you're getting separate words to show that I am really, really angry with you. Okay? My clients, unfortunately, it may be the first time they understood easily because they could hear everything, and they smile at me. And I'm ready to kill them. It is not the time to smile at me. But they were happy because they said, oh, you need me to get this finished today? And I'm like, I'm yelling at you. It's over. Your chance was before. It's not the time to smile and then start thinking that maybe you could do it today. No, it's too late. So unfortunately, culturally, that signal didn't get across well, right? And it didn't get across early enough. So do not say things one word at a time. It will be a disaster as well. In fact, at the swimming pool, you're going to see do not run. It doesn't say don't run, which is normal. It says do not run. The script is actually being very firm, saying don't do this. In capital letters, like we're shouting. Yeah? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to break this into pieces. Because the speed kills, the person doesn't hear your message, and that's critical. So the first thing you say is your name, the second thing is your company or your industry, and I've missed it. It's gone, and I'll never hear it again. So you paid maybe $20 to go to the networking event. If it's a tech event, $300 to $500 to go to the conference. If it's a medical one and it's a gala event, maybe $1,000. It's like a sponsorship. Because you're with the right people that you should be networking with, and yet it's gone, right? Your opportunity is gone because they can't hear you. They don't consider you to be friendly to network with, right? You insulted them in two different ways, too slow or too fast. And they don't know you, like you, and trust you. You've already lost the trust. Right? Okay. Do you know what that says? What does it say? Yeah, it looks like it's for storage, and it was outside my building. But what does this yellow part say? Container something maybe, and the bottom?
Phone number.
Phone number, and we can see that it's a phone number, not because we can see the numbers, but because we can see the punctuation between the numbers. And we know 334 is a North American style of phone number, right? So that's what you want. You want to emphasize the differences, the shifts in importance. So different font, punctuation, capitalization. You're going to do that with the way you speak. Okay, and I'm going to show you how. Those WH questions that were opening the jewel boxes and helping you get good information and share your own good information are how we start. You want people to hear who you are, what you do, when you started doing it, maybe where you're from, you've got global experience, and cool, or maybe I was formerly with Amazon. Who knows what he's doing, right? She's killer. Let's get her. And so this is what you want in your elevator pitch. You want them to hear it. But when you say the who, you need to stop so the person can focus on it, translate it, go, oh, I met someone named Catherine, or my sister's name is Catherine. I can remember her name now. And Steele, there's an author, Danielle Steele. Okay, so give them a moment for just the who, and then a moment for what? Pronunciation coach? Nobody's ever heard of that. I had to create that. I'm an individual, very unique business. So they have to think pronunciation. Oh, she's listening to me. Oh no. It's a little bit of a shock, right? I have to give a person a moment to process that. So here you go. This is the main information that you want to get out there, but it doesn't sound like good English yet. It's not quite long enough. It's like level 1. That's why it's easy for us to understand a level 1 person. Web designer, global market, 2013. I kind of know what you do. I think maybe you got here in 2013. YVR, yes, okay, they landed in Vancouver. I can get quite a bit of information, which is great. But to be beautiful grammatically and sound professional, you need a little addition right at the front. The blue ones are preposition, pronouns, and articles, and things like that. And this is the part where I've got something that you can connect to and get the notes. So now I've got a perfect phrase. What I have to train myself to do is stop before my, when I say stop before the, so that the person hears a little phrase and then has a chance to think about that little phrase. So you're going to get a link. You're going to get these notes at the end. So all of this from where I said speed kills, that's all notes that you can have. Okay. So these are the types of words right here. And if you are not a grammar person, that's fine. It will start to become very easy. And just think all the little words that are hard to remember. This is where our grammar is different from other grammar. Everybody's language has the black main point. Everybody's language is different in the blue ones. And I haven't given all of them, of course, I've just given you a selection to get the idea. Auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs are like, do you like, where like is the important part, the do is just extra. Are you going, where are is not important, but going is. And have you eaten, where eaten is important, but have you is not so important. And we actually change how loud we say something based on the type of word it is. We don't say everything loudly. I know in Cantonese and Japanese and German and Spanish, each word should be clearly said, distinct and clear. And what does that mean in English? Everyone is driving me crazy. I am really angry. If he's angry. So we don't want that. So when we have something like this, I'm trying to show this. Is it still possible to show this without sharing? Or do I have to? I want to play with this. I'm going to play with this, and I want to show you all.
You want to edit the text?
I want to manipulate this text, yeah. Awesome, perfect. So I'm going to highlight, and I can't see one of them. Oh, I can see it. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm standing right in front of it, but do you see any pronouns, punctuation, adjectives, adverbs? Oh, wonderful, it's really tiny. But on the left you can kind of see. Don't look at this part. No peeking. At this point. So it's not notes. Oh, you are good. I'm gonna hire this man. Okay, so now again, I don't see, so any pronouns, yell them out, and I'm gonna make them blue. And prepositions and pronouns and conjunctions. In? Is or in?
It's
Is. Okay, can do this. Oh my gosh. Ah. I don't know why, I want to highlight it and make it. Okay, you know. That's perfect. That's nice. Let me see the other part. Okay. This is gonna be good. I want to make it red because I don't want to think it's important as well. I want to think it's quiet and small. Okay? Okay, what's another one? Wood? Okay. It goes so fast you can't get it. Line.
Control.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Okay, do is often an auxiliary, but it should be followed by a verb, and there's no verb here. So this is actually a main verb. With good eyes, I'm happy you saw it, but in this case, no. Which one? I am. This one? Down. Cheat sheet.
Like all of them.
Yep.
Okay, then how is should we?
The exclamation mark, right? Yeah, good. I do control it, but you do not. I feel like a professional now. Thank you for that. Oh, no, I'm not a professional. One day. Two more, three more, and then I'm going to show you the
找系统词啊，
Is comma.
感觉早晨太大了，有答案。
Any more commas? There are a few.
啊。叔叔在那儿跑噻。
And this one, right?
没有。
So we often don't like punctuation, but it ends up helping you when you're speaking or preparing to speak. So if I tell you there are
Actually, I know some examples of all those.
there are 17 more. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to show you in one sense, just because of time, to respect the time. But there are 17 more, and they are signals Now, how do I get back to the slideshow? Do I do slideshow?
IPS.
How do I get out? You're almost at the end. Good, okay, I can get there. So this is what you would see. And what that does for you now is it indicates where to pause. You're going to pause before every blue thing. Because hi is your greeting, and this one I'm using something that is not the one we were working on, right? It's later. So imagine the blue exclamation mark. My name is one thing. Is Catherine Steele is another one thing. But if you prefer, is another one thing. So even though there are quite a few little blue things, comma, but if you would, I hurry through that part. And what happens to would? But if you prefer, do I say would? Like wood, like the floor? No, I say you'd. But if you prefer, so all those times when people are saying I'll, I'd, I'm, they are not saying I am, I will, I have, I would. Because they're respecting the idea that that's a small, unimportant thing, and the major important thing is coming. And I'm just indicating, here's a new idea, boom, I'm starting a new idea, boom, I'm starting a new idea, boom. So the person knows there's some little thing, oops, pay attention, it might be a where, or it might be a how. If something is changing now, and then the black part is louder. So that's what we're aiming for. So we're going to practice this, and we're going to shift it to you guys practicing for yourselves. Little children in Canada, if they grew up in the church, most people now are not so church inclined, but you would be asked to speak. And the Bible, I'm telling you, you don't know any names, you don't know any places, you don't know most of the words. It's not like speaking Shakespeare English, but little children can go up and read very clearly because they are going to the next group. They say the word, the people in the church are listening, they understand the word. So as long as the person says it clearly, everyone is able to understand. Right? Even if they mispronounce, it doesn't matter because there's enough of a space for people to think about it and go, oh, she's saying this, okay, I understand. So I want to encourage you to think that. I have nothing on my screen. Do I need to do something to show me?
Okay.
I'm going to not edit anymore. Just keep going. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to say this. I'm going to say it. You say it back. I'm breaking it. Okay. Hi. Hi. And you guys echo. Hi.
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 And in the time of the hi, the person's probably thinking hi or waving or smiling. They're doing something. My name. You say that? My name.
My name.
And the person going, oh my God, the name. I'm not getting the name. So give them a moment to get over that fear. Is Catherine Steele. Right? So if you say, hi, my name is Catherine Steele. Oh my God, I didn't even know the name was coming. You gave me no clue. And sometimes people say, what about if I say, hi, I'm Catherine, which we do, right? But it's not as good at a networking event as, hi, my name, because the person can get ready, is Catherine Steele. They have a better chance of remembering, right? But if you prefer, you can call me Kath.
You can call me Kath.
So I'm now speaking slowly, so the person doesn't think, I am really angry, but I'm not speaking so quickly because the person has a chance to think. And the person has a chance to breathe. Okay, so the way my friends and family And this is, and family do. And family do. And the do is the loudest part. And family do back home in Vancouver. I'm a pronunciation coach. And that's really hard. If I had another shorter way to do that, I would do it, but that's so hard. But that's what it is. So coach is the loudest with my own business. It's not my own business. It's with my own business. I'm trying to get to the end and make it nice and loud. With my own business. Good. English pronunciation. For success. And that's also an unfortunate title because
That's really long.
it's really long and it has punctuation in the middle, which offers. Yeah, is it which? Like, or is it which offers? Which offers? I want the offers to be bigger than the which, right? Things like can and would, we have more than one meaning for that sound. So one is small, could you help me? And can you help me? Instead of can you help me, it's can you help me? Because can might be can of pop, coke, right? Yeah. So now, I'm going to get you to say this, and then you're going to say your own. So for this one, you're going to use mine because I want to notice how big the space is. And how big do you think the space should be? Count 1, 2, 3. That's a good idea. It's a very good idea, especially if you're on a microphone. Hi, the airport doesn't do this well. They go, Page and Cathersdale, and they say once, your flight has changed, it's going to be gate number, which gate, and you're running around. And it would be better if they separated it out, said it at least twice. You're going to be the one that makes it easy. So you're going to do it the length of time that your listener needs. Not you. You're nervous and you know your name. You're going to give them the opportunity to try their best to catch your name, catch your business, catch your industry. So you're looking at their body language. Are they okay? Are they nodding? Are they still breathing? Or are they just focusing so much to try and catch something, right? Okay. So I'm going to make you to start, and you're going to break it up as much as you can.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Steele. If you would like to, but if you would prefer, you can call me Kat. The way my friend and my family live back home in Vancouver. I am pronunciation coach with my own business, English pronunciation for success, which offer.
Okay, what did you think? Was it good?
Yeah.
Pretty.
It was really good. She would be heard by everybody in that room. Does it sound like her normal style of speaking? No. So she's probably nervous about it because it sounds weird, doesn't sound like me. But everybody else in the room went, oh, I can relax because she took care of the problem of making it easy for me, right? How many times have you gone somewhere and it wasn't easy, it was hard, or you thought, oh, this poor person, nobody understood them, right? This is a way of handling that. So even if there is, somebody comes from Iran, somebody comes from Poland, and somebody comes from, I don't know, wherever they are, and they're having this conversation, they end up developing a style and a speed where everybody can understand. Right? And that's what we want. We want people to understand. Okay, I would go to the back. She's like, oh, I was ready. Why going to the back to keep you feeling a bit nervous, right? Okay, go for it.
Hi, my name is Catherine Steele, but if you prefer, you can call me Kat. The way my friends and family do back home in Vancouver. I'm a pronunciation coach with my own business, English pronunciation for success, which offers.
Okay. Where was it the easiest to understand him? At the beginning, in the middle, or at the end?
In the beginning.
In the beginning, in the middle, right? He could see he was almost done. You will have that feeling, or that you're being pressured to finish. People are going, wrap it up, time. better to end well than speed up and squish everything in, right? If the thing you want to end with is your phone number or your business name, then pop it in right away. Don't try to add any more, because it will sound more complicated and harder to hear if you speed up, right? And the parts where you don't know so much, you would slow down, because pronunciation coach is different from what you do. You had to slow down for that. That made it easier, even though it was a harder thing. People didn't know that word. It was easier because you slowed down, right? So be aware of that, for the other person, they don't know your jargon, they don't know your industry. The things that are easiest for you are the places where you have to go the slowest. Name, business, right? Slowest. So, okay, ready? Your turn. Over to you.
Hi, my name is Catherine Steele.
Okay, 2 people have done this. You did it. You did it. My name is Catherine Steele. Is how we always say it. I'm going to encourage you to break it. Okay, and it's hard to do it because we always say that. So break it up. The person will be really happy and will not notice that you broke it.
Hi, my name is Catherine Steele.
Yep.
But if my word, prefer you can. But if you would prefer, you could call me Kat. The way my friends and family do back home in Vancouver. I'm a pronunciation coach with my own business, English Pronunciation for Success, which offers,
etc., right? And which offers coaching. So was it easy to understand her? And when her tongue was tied and she was going, oh my God, how do you say that word? Was it okay? Would you wait for her? Sure, right? You already like her. You're already interested in her. It doesn't matter if you stumble over your word. Who cares? Nobody cares. In fact, you're probably eating something at the same time, right? It doesn't matter. What matters is the feeling of me that I understand you and you're not rushing and you're doing it for my benefit. I know that you're doing it for my benefit, going slowly enough that I can hear. Yeah? And for the whole room. Okay, let's hear you.
Hi, my name is Catherine Steele, but if you would prefer, you can call me Kat. The way my friends and family do back home in Vancouver. I'm a pronunciation coach with my own business, English Pronunciation for Success, which offers.
Nice. And are you interested in trying to?
Sure.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Catherine Steele, but if you prefer, you can call me Kat. The way my friends and family do back home in Vancouver. I am pronunciation coach with my own business, English Pronunciation for Success, which offers.
Okay, good. And did you see that he got a little asterisk somewhere in here too? Because this was easy. These are concepts that we understand and we often hear together. So as you get going, if your listener understands easily, you're probably going to put 2 together, like friends and family. That's logically together. But if it's difficult or the room makes it difficult for everyone to hear, you're going to break it apart more. Or if they're writing your ideas down, I'm Catherine Steele, my business is English Pronunciation. You allow them a little group as you say it to them. So you're going to do your own, and you're making a crescendo, so from quiet blue to loud black. And so what I'm going to get you to do is put your information in here. This is maybe the easiest way to see where the loud part should live, but you're not putting Catherine Steele now, you're putting your own name, and you're going to turn to the person beside you, and you're going to say it, and put your industry in there, something like that. But try, this is the harder one, try to break it for yourself. Okay? So, go for it, you tell me, you tell her, and I'm listening to everyone at the same time.
Hi,
Hi,
my name is Annie.
Jungkook.
Can you do my name?
You
Is
can call
Jung-
me routine.
The is
The
going
way
to
my
be.
friend prepare
My
me
name
back
is
on
Zuko.
home and
You
culture.
prefer
I'm
you can
resting.
the way my
Asian.
friends and family do,
Okay, hold on. The way.
the way my friends
It's
and
very nice to
family
meet
do
you.
at home
So, hi.
in China.
My name is Selena
I'm
Zhang.
a community organizer.
And don't do unlong. Put that together.
Yeah, if you prefer, you can just call me Selena.
I'm community organizer.
I'm a community
My
organizer with my
Family
community,
and my friends
Start
and family
Chinese,
do back
which
home.
offers-
And start for Chinese. 4 is like my 4.
And I am
Start
a
for Chinese.
model validation.
I'm a
So
community
I'm a
organizer
model
with
validation
my
back
own
in the
community, startup for Chinese, which offers
Cool. Go ahead. Does it seem weird?
university.
It should. It should feel weird because your goal is not just to have a conversation. It's to have everything that you prepared understood and allow the person to create questions from each piece. Okay. So how did it go? Good? Really good? Is it good because she will understand you because you're listening first language, or good because she slowed it down? Both?
Good job. Good job.
Exactly.
You know,
That's perfect.
We need to let us get our name of our field, our job.
The business.
Yes, yeah.
And you're going to prepare it. You're preparing the who, what, when, where, how, why. Yeah. So those are the end points, are what you want that person to go home with. If they have 5 pieces of information, those are the 5 end points. Okay. So when you talk too quickly, you sound like you're lying. The person can't breathe, and they can't absorb your ideas. When you say one word at a time, that's our way of showing that we're really angry. And the problem is, so quite often people say to Canadians, could you please correct me? And often that doesn't happen. They also say, could you please speak more slowly? And the person for like 3 or 4 words is very slow, and then vroom, back into high speed. Have you noticed that? It's because it's so rude to speak that slowly. It's impossible to continue. If anybody hears me, I could try my best to go very one word at a time. But if a Canadian hears me, they think I am insulting you. They think I'm being very angry, or I'm telling you you're an idiot. And I will lose my connection with this person. I can't risk that. I need my community around me. I don't want my community to think that I'm a bad person. And I'm showing that I'm a bad person by the way I'm treating you if I say one word at a time. Right? So that's why I risk being shunned, avoided, right? I can't do that. So, speak in thought groups. Each phrase starts with a marker, and we know what the grammatical marker would be. Match your breathing to the other person's breathing. If you realize that they're not breathing because you're not breathing, you are going way too fast. So slow yourself down, take a breath. It allows them to breathe. We breathe at the same speed so that we can hear the conversation easily. It's an automatic reaction of a listener is to start breathing with the speaker. So you have to breathe. Please breathe. Watch the body language, right? Are the shoulders going up? Are they leaning forward? Are they making weird faces? Are they not nodding? If they're not nodding, they don't get it. If they're not going, oh my God, wow, really? And we make indication that it's okay, keep going, keep going, keep going. If you aren't getting any of those, then don't keep going. They didn't catch what you said. And the idea is to get a word in edgewise, right? Like sneak a question or comment into the things that you were saying. They should have questions for you as you speak. All right, so the idea for the entire talk is to help other people share their treasure. It will allow you to share your treasure, which is the idea of a networking. And it will make that event valuable for both of you. So of course this is where putting English back into their pocket, putting successful networking back into the pocket of the person. And then I have a draw. I'm going to draw a very special prize. So if you're interested, let me know. I'll show you what the prize is. It's an an elevator pitch evaluation session. You're with me for an hour, and we look at exactly what you say and how you say it, and I help you choose maybe alternatives. If I think the group will have difficulty understanding, I help you make it sound really beautiful, and then I record it. And often we end up with a very short, sort of a medium, and a longer version. As you mentioned, what if you just, you were mentioning, what if you see your boss in the elevator? You're not going to be able to come up with all the who, what, when, where, why questions. So what should you be able to say? So that's what we do. And it's worth $247, and I'm to drive. So would anybody like to be part of that? Okay. So you have an evaluation sheet. Maybe just tear off the corner, write your name, email, and phone number for me so I can get back to you. And then I would love the evaluation. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And I will leave you with my contact information. That will be the very last thing. I'll put that slide up again. This is the link for the slides from your presentation. I hope that was helpful. Any questions at this point? I love cell phones. It gives us the opportunity to take quick notes, right?
Okay, feel free to ask any questions. Any questions?
We're good?
Actually, we would like to know more about culture.
About what?
Culture. You know, that,
It's an endless study, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. There are some really interesting YouTube clips about culture, and there's a comedian, Russell Peters, who that's what his comedy is about, is the differences in culture. You might find some good things there. I'll write his name for you. He's a Canadian comedian. There's two L's. That might be, that's a name that comes to mind quickly. Check out. They're very funny. Anybody else? Good. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.